Are there other things we wouldn't know about President Trump that you gleaned from being behind the scenes, like some tidbits we wouldn't know about him?
I mean, we had the privilege of sometimes being on the plane, and but sometimes we didn't. We'd be flying commercial, whatever way you could get back.
Right.
Sometimes that involved like Spirit Airlines or whatnot. So, he he um he literally would just he would keep going. I mean, one thing that it's not that big of a secret, but I mean, the menu on um, Trump Force One is definitely not as mature as the menu on Air Force One, obviously. The menu is very simple. It is sometimes it's McDonald's, that's number one, and you get the quarter pounder with cheese and a side of McNuggets and a medium fry. Um, KFC is on the menu too. That's like, you get McDonald's 50% of the time, but then you get KFC if you're not, and everybody eats the same food. Sometimes there's the occasional Pizza Hut and Jimmy John's. Those are all in the rotation.
Mm.
McDonald's most, but what's kind of hilarious about the whole thing, in that world when you're chartering planes or whatnot, the meals are very, very expensive because why wouldn't they be? They love to rip people off on things like that. So like, you get like a cheese board or something, it'll be like $80, something like
Mm.
absurd if you have these private air terminals to the meal. So it saved the campaign a lot of money. It wasn't just like that's what he wants to eat, but literally like you just have somebody go pick up like a $7 value meal at McDonald's is a lot cheaper than like some fancy private, air charter catering company that charges you like a fortune. So like I always felt like it wasn't just that that's what he likes to eat and that's what he wants everyone to eat, but he was cost effective in that way, and that's similar to the way he leads as well. Um,
Well, no,
the
actually,
other
I
thing
think
about
that's
him
a
on that plane, which was hilarious, is he loves his music. So like that whole thing at
Mhm.
the rallies, he does pick his playlist at his events. But then on the plane, like when he's sick of like whatever's streaming on YouTube TV for news, it's
Mhm.
music time and it's party time. And he's sitting there with the remote typing stuff to YouTube, putting on music videos. Like he's having a good old time, and that's very real. He's like you can just feel the energy of it. It's awesome.
No, one thing I love about President Trump is we actually have the exact same playlist. It's like YMCA by the Village People. It's Memory from Cats. It's Nothing Compares to You by Sinead O'Connor. It's Pavarotti. It's Andrea Bocelli. This man has the most iconic playlist, and we both love Cats the musical. And I love that you brought up he's being cost effective with the McDonald's, Justin. You're so silly. He's being cost effective. But you were actually at the McDonald's filming. That's one of the most iconic episodes of the entire Art of the Surge on Fox Nation, and everybody should go download and get on and watch it. But that episode, did you ever think you'd be filming the president of the United States working a window at McDonald's?
No, certainly not. I mean, he knows a troll better than anyone, and the people around him. And they called him. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna do this thing at McDonald's, and he's gonna work there." And like, you know how those things work. Like, you're like, okay, he'll show up, and like, but he
Mm,
was all in. Like, he wanted to like, he wanted the full experience.
mm,
And it's kind of funny. It comes out, I think, in the show too. He was very not obsessive, but like he was very tied into exactly what was going on there. Like,
mhm.
how clean it was. Your hands never touch the fries, and then it like goes to the people. Like he loved that stuff. How much salt was on it. He wanted to know like every detail of how the fryer worked. I think that in some ways speaks to how he is with how he approaches everything. He's actually a very curious person. He doesn't think he knows everything, and you see that in the show in the behind the scenes moment. Even a few minutes ago, he's putting up the flagpoles or whatnot. He's with the construction guys at the flagpoles that he's putting up on the White
Mm.
House lawn. He's talking about how it's tapered and how it's going in and how many feet it is, and like and and I would have to imagine when he's talking about larger scale things, that impact the fate of our country on a grander level, like he does ask questions, and you see that. You see that in those behind the scenes moments that I think he applies that to everything. He's not just
Mm.
sitting there giving everyone a lecture. He's actually like he listens to people that
Well, that's what
no
I
one
find
can.
so interesting is when they call him, a dictator and this fascist and this king. They did those ridiculous no kings protests. Because anytime I've seen President Trump, he's seeking counsel from the people around him. I feel like President Trump likes to have a cornucopia of voices. Like, what do you think? What do you think? If you happen to be standing around, he might be like, hey, what do you think about this? And then he synthesizes it and comes to his conclusion. And I'm glad you brought that up. Are there other examples of him working with his team? I know there was that scene with Natalie, the human printer, and they're all sitting around watching the debate. Tell me about being in the room for that.
That was a fun moment, and it was like, he's going to live truth tonight. And, we didn't know, we knew he was going to live truth Kamala Harris at the DNC giving a speech, but we didn't know that like his whole team was going to be there because originally he was supposed to have debate prep. Then a lot of those people were supposed to leave. And then it was just going to be a couple people hung out in his suite there in Las Vegas. And he live truths, has a little fun with it. But the debate prep actually bled over into Kamala's speech. So he's like, everybody just hang out, have some, there's some room service on the table. Everybody grab a piece of lamb or whatever, and, everybody was kind of just shouting out what they thought about things she was saying. And it was just like, otherwise you'd have to like sit there and like Google things because you need to make sure you get the facts straight, right? But you've got like all these people that are experts in different things, different policies, and they're from Stephen Miller, Jason Miller, Tulsi was in there, Dan Scavino. They're all Taylor Budowich. They're all providing like this real time feedback on things like, no, that's not true, da, 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 da. And they had all these documents prepared that they were simultaneously emailing out, but what he was putting out there on his truth, which then gets tweeted out on X as well, was like literally like a real time, like taking in all the stuff from all these people that, he likes. And then, Dan Scavino walks up, shows him something on the phone of a video. He's like, put that out right away. And that is how he operates when the cameras aren't around or, in between things. Like he's very engaged with like how his message gets out there more so than anyone else. I don't think Joe Biden even knew he had a Twitter feed. Right. So,
No.
yeah, but like he's the way it gets out and the timing of it. I'm sure sometimes it can be stressful if you're the person that's like managing that on the back end and you don't know what's coming. But like he's super engaged in those moments, and it does speak to how he like takes all the stuff in from everybody that's around him for sure.
Absolutely. I think that's part of the reason Kamala Harris lost so overwhelmingly is just because she isn't authentic and she's so focus grouped to death. In fact, she couldn't even do an interview for the first 40 days of her campaign. I know people forget, but she went 40 days without doing a single interview. And then she did that bizarre sit down on CNN in that dark, dingy diner. Meanwhile, President Trump is like, let's put this out. Let's bring all the press in. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. And they couldn't keep up with him because he was off the cuff. He was extemporaneous. And I think they also forget the man is just genuine and he's been the president before and has the knowledge and the know-how. Now, for the people listening and watching at home, can you explain who Natalie Harp, the human printer, is? Because when I say human printer, the people might be going, what the hell are you talking about? Justin, can you explain this? And then maybe we'll put something up.
We put her in the first season, and then we realized we didn't like do enough of the explaining of what that was. So like in the last episode of the new season, we got like more into the job and she demonstrates the printing piece of it. But she earned that nickname because she literally follows him around wherever he goes with a printer because he likes everything printed out. And that's the way he often communicates with people is there will be something is printed out. He's got a Sharpie. He reads the piece on somebody. He writes a note to them. And then it's then a picture is taken of that. And Natalie or somebody texts it to the person. And it might just be like, Link, great job today. Huge ratings on your show. You're doing awesome. Keep up the good work with his signature on it. And literally she's doing that all day for that method of the way that he communicates with people. But then simultaneously, she's also just printing out like news for him. So in the Oval Office, when the South African president was there, and they did that awesome display with the video and, who's he shouting out for? He's like, Natalie, go bring me that stack of papers over there. Cause she's obviously been printing like all the evidence that he needs to communicate what he wants to communicate. So it doesn't matter whether he's like on the golf course, she'll like be running behind him in another golf cart, or whether he's in the Oval Office. Like Natalie is there kind of like keeping a line of communication open with the with literally printing stuff. So that's where she earned the name the human printer, because I don't think he's ever
Mm.
hit control P himself, but like he's got somebody to do that for him, which is awesome.
Well, I remember when President Trump, a lot of people don't know the full lore of President Trump. I followed this man for years. I remember when he used to go on Wendy Williams back in the day. Could you imagine President Trump when he went on Wendy Williams? And I remember him talking about the Sony hacking scandal. And he's like, I don't email. I don't do email. And so I don't get hacked. I don't use a computer. I think now he has an iPhone. When I see him, he has an iPhone in his hand. But the man, he should have someone there to print stuff out. And I have gotten one of those letters. It's like, thank you for what you're doing on social media. And it's just like a big Sharpie in his iconic signature. But I have to ask you, you brought up this Oval Office meeting. As a producer, aren't you just in love with this new genre where he brings world leaders in and they just get their asses handed to them? Like when he said, hey, Natalie, can you turn the lights down? I knew it was about to go down. Aren't you just loving this as someone who's been working in this world for years?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super. I mean, it goes back to what you're saying about like, oh, he's a dictator or whatnot, and people have to say that. Like, okay, he literally has the press in the Oval Office like every day, and he doesn't go to the press room or whatever. He lets Caroline do that, but like he literally has like 50 cameras in there for the meetings, and he doesn't kick them out. I mean, a lot of the wranglers are always trying to. They're like, okay, enough press, let's go this way out or whatever. But he's taking additional questions. The media gets to stay in the room probably for like 40 minutes longer than anybody would ever
Right.
expect. That would be like a 90-second drive-by with Biden, you know?
Right.
Oh, you wouldn't even be allowed to capture him saying anything. It was just like capture like video of the meeting just for record's sake, whatever, you know. It's good to see you, everyone, and like that's it. Where he's just like he's ready to put on a show or communicate in a way that's super different than anybody ever has. But I mean, I can't think of like that example with the South African president and some of the others is like I've never seen somebody more effectively communicate to like a traditional audience. He's not communicating for like C-SPAN. He's like literally making sure everybody gets the point he's making. It was fantastic. It's
Incredible.
amazing. It's amazing to see.
It's amazing. From the Zelensky meeting to the South African meeting. Oh my God. Chef's kiss. Amazing.